Hi and welcome back to my channel. This is Stu Ripples checking in for kind of gonna do like a quick review of the first week. I didn't do the last week, but we're back on track this week. So I'm like, not the whole like story behind it doesn't really matter, but so let's see. So the part that or I read rather, like during our first week, I read up until it's not actually titled, interesting, but it was just talking about basically the focus was to stand in like the I am awareness, like standing in your power, standing in my power, and declaring myself like to be God. So like understanding like my awareness like of things to be God. And also there was like another one I said. Now I'm like, what was the other part? Yeah, so essentially it was like just standing in my power. So standing in your power if you like followed like the reading and like went along. I didn't want to read like a whole chapter. I feel like that would be kind of long. And so this is like, again like for accountability to kind of keep me like remembering like the truth of who I am. And so the book, again, in case you caught this video and didn't like catch the first one, I'm like going through at your command in small doses or small pieces. And so what happened during my first week is I was doing like really well, and then even as I'm saying this, I'm like aware that like I'm saying like I was doing well. It's like meaning that like, oh, well, then you stopped doing well. But I was consistent with like reminding myself, kind of like redirecting like my mind and like my attention to come back to the situation on the outside doesn't have like control, and it's more like it's me that has like the ultimate like control. And so I did like really well like with kind of like reminding myself of that, of like being consistent. And then I'm not sure like what shifted. My awareness shifted because then I became aware of, okay, like, well, now like there was something like going on that I had like a lot of energy that I interpreted as anxiety. And it was a very interesting experience because it wasn't necessarily attached to like anything specifically that I was able to like think of or be like conscious of in that way. But the interesting thing I did find was that with the anxiety experience, it's like then I put like my focus, my attention, right? So like my I am was like, okay, I am anxietable. And so becoming like aware of that experience. And then sort of like a little bit of like, like frustration for sure. I was gonna say like judgment, but like more so like frustration, like trying to like, 3D like comprehend it. It's like, well, what is causing this? Because typically like if I'm anxious then or experiencing anxiety, it's like, oh, okay, like then I am aware of outside factors. But then it's like, I think the takeaway from that for me was like, what does it matter? Like, if you're experiencing, if I am experiencing an emotion, if you experience an emotion, we all experience emotions. And I think that's kind of like par for course, like with this reality, that like emotions is a part of like most of our experiences, right? Um, So, last week I was like feeling a little bit under the weather. So it's like after the anxiety, had some physical like health symptoms. So I think I may have like had some food poisoning or something. So I'm like, I am aware of having food poisoning. But anyway, I don't want to get tied up into that so that we can kind of stay on track. So I'm actually going to start with page 10, and we're going to go until page 13. So I'm trying to keep it shorter so that I'm not reading like a whole chapter and it's like, oh, that's so long, or I don't know, the whole book seems to just be like a chapter long. So it's pretty short. So today we're doing, like I said, Neville Goddard at Your Command, pages like 10 through half of page 13. So this is titled Consciousness is the Resurrecting Power. And it reads, Consciousness is the resurrecting power, resurrecting that which man is conscious of being. Man is ever out picturing that which he is conscious of being. That is the truth that makes man free, or this is the truth, rather, that makes man free. For man is always self-imprisoned or self-freed. Oh, that's beautiful. It's so liberating. I don't know, every time I read this book, I find such peace in the passages. If you, the reader, will give up all of your former beliefs in a God apart from yourself and claim God as your awareness of being, as Jesus and the prophets did, you will transform your world with the realization that I and my Father are one. This statement, I and my Father are one, but my Father is greater than I, seems very confusing. But if interpreted in the light of what we have just said concerning the identity of God, you will find it very revealing. Consciousness, being God, is as Father. The thing that you're conscious of being is the Son, bearing witness of his Father. It is like the conceiver and its conceptions. The conceiver is ever greater than his conceptions, yet ever remains one with his conception. For instance, before you are conscious of being man, you are first conscious of being. Then you become conscious of being man, yet you remain as conceiver, greater than your conception, man. Jesus discovered this glorious truth and declared himself to be one with God, not a God that man had fashioned, for he never recognized such a God. He said, if any man should ever come saying, look here or look there, believe them not, for the kingdom of God is within you. Heaven is within you. Therefore, when it is recorded that he went unto his Father, it is telling you that he rose in consciousness to the point where he was just conscious of being, thus transcending the limitations of his present conception of himself called Jesus. In the awareness of being, all things are possible, he said. You shall decree a thing, and it shall come to pass. This is his decreeing, rising in consciousness to the naturalness of being the thing desired, as he expressed it. And I, if I be lifted up, I shall draw all men unto me. If I be lifted up in consciousness to the naturalness of the thing desired, I will draw the manifestation of that desire unto me. For he states, no man comes unto me, save the Father within me draws him, and I and my Father are one. Therefore, consciousness is the Father that is drawing the manifestations of life unto you. You are, at this very moment, drawing into your world that which you are now conscious of being. Now you can see what is meant by you must be born again. If you are dissatisfied with your present expression in life, the only way to change it is to take your attention away from that which seems to so real to you and rise in consciousness to that which you desire to be. You cannot serve two masters. Therefore, to take your attention from one state of consciousness and place it upon another is to die to one and live to the other. The question, whom do you say that I am, is not addressed to a man called Peter by one called Jesus. This is the eternal question addressed to oneself by one's true self or true being. In other words, whom do you say that you are? For your conviction of yourself, your opinion of yourself, will determine your expression in life. He states, you believe in God, believe also in me. In other words, it is the me within you that is this God. Praying then is seen to be recognizing yourself to be that which you now desire, rather than its accepting form of petitioning a God that does not exist for that which you now desire. Okay, so this is where I'm going to end like the reading portion for today and kind of like look at the pieces that I'll be focusing on for this week. And essentially it's going to be pretty much like the same each week, right? So the biggest pieces, which all of it's like so good, it's talking about the kingdom of God being within us, right? And that we, as the conceiver, is like one with our like conceptions. It says the conceiver is ever greater than his conceptions, yet ever remains one with his conception. So it's like just being conscious of being. And this is something I meditate on pretty consistently, just like that space of I am. Like when you close your eyes and just become aware of like what you are, like that you are consciousness. And so the power is always coming from within, and so we can have like this training definitely like in the world, having these experiences like where we have identified like, oh okay, like I'll look back to the past and like this is definitely a part of like my lived experience, like looking back to the past and like, okay, like so I navigated the situation like in this way and now I want to navigate it differently. So today, like so this week rather, today, yes, I think that's really beautiful to kind of go into that energy of just being, right? And making that like a regular like part of meditating. And so I definitely will be tapping into that each day, like during this week. And then after being aware of like I am, like then it's like then you can add on to, or you could choose to add on to, right? I am. So I am, and then like what do you want to finish it with? So I will be focusing this week, definitely seeing myself like in some new ways, specifically. Hmm, specifically. being aware of my good health, like that's really beautiful. I love that vibe. And being aware of my abundance. I think that that's really like beautiful. And when we say like abundance, I know that that means like different things to different people. And so perhaps like even like wealth, because when I think of like wealth, it's like all encompassing, like where it's like I'm wealthy, so or I'm prosperous. Ooh, I really like the feel of that. Like I'm prosperous, and so it's like prosperous, in physical ways, prosperous in mental ways. So you can add on like whatever you choose to there. But I think that that's like a really a good passage like to focus on, um, because it's saying like right that our decreeing, not decreeing it with like words, but like really like feeling like what is like prosperity feel like. I am prosperous, and ooh, like what does that feel like physically, and what does that feel like mentally, and what does that feel like socially, like in all of these different ways. So but you take whatever you want to go into like with your message like for this week. Again, I mentioned like in the first video, I'm doing this to keep myself like accountable. Also, there's like I really have to say like this is my favorite book, and I listen to it on audiobook like on YouTube. I just love like that, coming from a Christian background, and how it's like the word is like made so new and fresh and alive in this different way than ever before. So that's everything that I have for this week, and I hope that y'all have like a really good week. If you did like review like the first video, and if you did that part, I would love to hear like what your like consistency was like, what your experience was like, because it's like you could have been like, I want to do it one time and that's it. And I find for me that like the consistency piece like really seems to help with like feeling balanced. And so again, like that's me being aware of it. So I know it's like as I say it or like believe it to be, then so it is. But yeah, I will check in next Sunday and kind of give like a breakdown of like what my experience goes like this week. So again, we are tapping into being existing, like, and then taking it to like another level. And what do you want to like transform in your life, right? What is it that you want to see and experience differently? So that is everything I have. I am excited to like reconnect next week, and we'll continue this journey. If you have like any like comments, I would just love to hear them below. If you have any questions about like the law of assumption as I see it anyway, because we all, I believe, are different aspects of God, feel free to drop them in the comment section, and then I will answer them. All right, so have a blessed, beautiful, lovely week, and I'll see you next time.